All right, let's continue on that theme of the Impeachment Committee and the work that they've been doing, even in the face of that interim interdict that President Ramaphosa obtained. Bulelani Philip, SABC News reporter, joins us now for an update. Bulelani, I suppose the big talking point has been about the chief evidence leader, the evidence leader, should I say, as far as that impeachment process is concerned. Take us through the debate that ensued around the decision to appoint Advocate Thandazani Madonsela SC and the subsequent objection that has now been raised by President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Well, good evening to you, Tulas, and to the viewers at home. Firstly, perhaps maybe it would be better for me to indicate that this matter of the President writing to Parliament, raising his objections around the proposed evidence leader was not even supposed to be discussed at the committee. But given that the President wrote to the legal department of Parliament late last night, the committee felt that it needed to place this matter before the table so that committee members can take a decision on it. Of course, as things stood in the committee this morning, is that you've got a sense of a frustration from some members of the committee, particularly from the EFF and MK party, as well as the ATM, because they want to get along with the work that has been directed by the Constitutional Court. And then you have, on the other hand, the parties like the ANC, the Democratic Alliance, BOSA, as well as Action SA, cautiously saying that perhaps maybe the committee must err on the side of caution by ensuring that it actually ticks all the boxes in terms of legal compliance. And that's why they came to the decision that perhaps maybe the committee must not rush ahead with its work, but rather must give the legal department of Parliament this analysis time in terms of the different options that are available to the committee in terms of responding to the President's objection. And of course, as you've indicated in your intro, the President raises two objections in the main. And the first one is the one that you've indicated, that he feels that given that as the President that he had removed Advocate Madonsela as his nominee commissioner on the JSC in 2022, he fears that Advocate Madonsela may have an axe to grind with him, hence he feels that he may be prejudiced. Yeah. And the second concern that he raises is that given that Advocate Madonsela has actually advised the ANC on this impeachment process, he does not understand or know the kind of information that is at his disposal, as well as the kind of legal advice that he has given to the ANC. Hence, he feels that as a person who will lead or advise this committee, he is in a unique position that he might have prior information about what is at stake here and what the committee would probably need, which direction to follow. Yeah. So in the end, the President says that given that kind of situation, he feels that perhaps maybe he might not be a suitable person to actually lead that committee.
Bulelani, it's always worth recapping in case some people have not kept up with where we are with the story. Someone might be sitting and wondering, what is the work that this committee is doing, given the fact that, about 2-3 weeks ago, we were reporting about President Ramaphosa obtaining an interdict. Just clarify that for us and distinguish the work that they are able to do, even in the face of that interdict, because that's partly why they were gathered there, isn't it? To do the work that they can do in the interim.
Well, perhaps maybe for recapping purposes, Tulas, is that everything as it stands now, it stems from the Constitutional Court ruling that directed Parliament, firstly, to change its rules, and secondly, to actually go without delay in terms of processing that Section 89 independent panel report that was presented to Parliament in 2022, which actually found that there was a prima facie case that the President had to answer. Now, late last month, the Western Cape High Court actually granted the President the interim relief that he was seeking, that actually would have put the work of the Impeachment Committee on hold, pending Part B of his application, which will be heard early next month, where he's actually now trying to review that Section 89 independent panel report. Of course, the frustration that was interesting that came out of one of the MK MPs is that this process seems to be like a stop and go kind of as in the road. They're feeling that frustration, but given the legal challenges and the stakes that are in this process, I think both sides would want to exercise their rights. On the other hand, the president would want to ensure that there is procedural fairness, as well as on the other hand, the committee and the committee members would want to ensure that this process, it follows due process, so that at the end of the day, which was one of the consensus points, is that they don't want to see this particular matter going back to the courts again. But you'll recall again that it's not only ending there. Just this coming Friday, the ATM as well as the UAT will be going back to the Western Cape High Court to actually ask for leave to appeal that earlier interim relief that was granted to the president.
All right. Bulelani, thank you for that. SABC News reporter Bulelani Philip there reporting on the Impeachment Committee meeting as well as their consideration of draft terms of reference. But of course, with that big issue now being considered, President Ramaphosa's objection to the designated evidence leader.